Tragic news hit yesterday with Vince Zampella. We have some Xbox news with some big sales going on, as well as Forza Motorsports, and it winding down, but its main competitor, Gran Turismo, doing very good, having almost a resurgence of sorts, as the game looks like the numbers are very strong. We have some more information about Arc 2, finally, or at least some more information on the Arc series, because that game, Arc 2, got revealed a while ago and just haven't really seen or heard anything about it recently. And then Expedition 33, some info on them about their next game, as well as the continued controversy surrounding generative AI. And is it going too far? Is the pushback against it so absurd now? Or is it justified? We will take a look at a story regarding that. So before we get into it, make sure to hit the subscribe and share. It really does help the channel out. It's free and it helps get it out to more people. So please consider doing that if you do like the content. But for now, let's get into it. So we had a massive tragic news that hit yesterday evening, just out of nowhere. Shock, I think, to the entire gaming industry and to anybody who's ever played Call of Duty or Battlefield or Titanfall, any of the Vince Zampella games, the Jedi Fallen Order games. It's a huge tragedy here. Vince Zampella has passed away at the age of 55, suddenly in a car accident. And here is the story. Battlefield head Call of Duty co-creator and Respawn CEO Vince Zampella has died. And this kind of hit the airwaves, I want to say around 5 or 6 p.m. Eastern time yesterday. And really just a huge shock to anybody who's ever played any of his games. I personally, as I've talked about on the channel, I think Vince Zampella is one of the best in the industry. Anything he puts out has been gold. He's turned around Battlefield with Battlefield 6. Like, everything he has touched has been phenomenal. So this is a massive loss for gaming and a massive loss for the industry itself. It says, as reported by NBC Los Angeles, the former Infinity Ward co-founder and Call of Duty co-creator died in a car crash on Southern California's Angeles Crest Highway. And the car reportedly veered off the road in the San Gabriel Mountains and hit a concrete barrier, after which it caught fire. The driver was trapped in the fire while a passenger was ejected from the car as a result of the crash. The driver died at the scene and the passenger died at the hospital. This comes from what NBC has reported. We don't know whether Zampella was the driver or the passenger. I mean, really, it doesn't really matter. It's the whole story is absolutely tragic. A spokesperson from Electronic Arts said, "This is an unimaginable loss, and our hearts are with Vince's family, his loved ones, and all those touched by his work. Vince's influence on the video game industry was profound and far-reaching, and a friend, colleague, leader, and visionary creator. His work helped shape modern interactive entertainment and inspired millions of players and developers around the world. His legacy will continue to shape how games are made and how players connect for generations to come." So, yes, we will continue obviously to see more about the story going forward, and condolences, prayers with his family and everybody involved in this crash, because it's shocking. You go through, there's a lot of responses, a lot of people replying to it, and it's going to be sad going forward here for his studio, the people he works with, and whatever he had going in the future. We will not be able to see it, which is obviously the last thing on a lot of people's minds right now. But EA, the studios, the colleagues, his family, a lot of people are going to be reeling from the loss here of Vince Zampella. To some more positive news here, some more things to look forward to. If you are paying attention to the Xbox sales, we have been getting lots of sales over the last number of weeks, from Black Friday to the countdown sale. We'll probably get a whole New Year sale and everything as we head into 2026. I know myself, I've been picking up a bunch of games for my backlog. They have specific Play Anywhere titles, which I generally like to pick up so I can play on my PC and then I can play on my console as well, and on handheld and via the cloud and everything. But now 50 plus games are being reduced by 90 to 95% in the current section here of this countdown sale, which I think has been great. I think there's been lots of stuff here that I want to pick up and add to my backlog. Like, even here, you look at some of these big reductions in prices. A Way Out, Joseph Ferry's co-op game, the one before It Takes Two, and the one before Split Fiction started with A Way Out, and I absolutely love this one. It's like a prison break game. It's such a cool game. So go check it out. It's only $3. I mean, it's 90% off. Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown is $4.80. Assassin's Creed games are always on sale. You can get Origins here for $10 if you haven't played it yet. I think you should definitely go play it. It's probably my favorite or second favorite in the open world versions of the Assassin's Creed game. The phenomenal game. Bulletstorm is really fun, $4. You got the Dragon Age series on sale, Gotham Knights Deluxe on sale here. If you haven't played that one yet, I know it wasn't very well received, but it's a decent game. It's pretty fun. You can go check that one out. So many games here. Mortals of Avium, $7. Highly recommend it. It didn't sell very well, but it is much better than what the results were for that game. So if you do enjoy Magic for FPS games with much different skills and stuff and an interesting story, go check that one out. So lots of games here. Go down here. There's some big ones like Zampella Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, $5, the deluxe edition. Then you have more stuff here, some bunch of Lego games and XCOM 2 at the bottom here. The collection, actually, I should say, for $10 if you're an XCOM fan. So lots of games here to go check out, 90 to 95% off. And this is the time to add to that backlog. It's time to get that Play Anywhere stuff in there. I always like bringing these sales up in case people don't know about them, simply because if you're looking at the way that the industry is going and the way that prices are increasing, buying games day one is almost unfeasible for a lot of people right now. This is where you don't even have to play the latest AAA games when they come out. It really doesn't matter. If you're not somebody who gets taken by the FOMO, your catalog of games can be so large from these sales and from so many great games now that all completely hold up over the years. We're not in an era now where in 5 years from now, some older games just won't hold up. They're still going to be incredible to play. You just add to that collection. And then once those big AAA games that are releasing in this year and next year and everything, those will be on sale, and then you pick those up and you play those and everything. So sales are a great way to stay economical when gaming. Forza Motorsport, we know they are now shutting down. The main competitor for Forza Motorsport, of course, is Gran Turismo, and there was always that comparison back and forth when Forza Motorsport did launch. Gran Turismo has beaten Forza Motorsport for sure right now as we're looking at the player numbers and the success of these games. Gran Turismo right now, or has officially won by a massive margin, as the game is still doing very, very good. Forza Motorsport, however, is winding down, but Gran Turismo, they say, is experiencing a phenomenon at PlayStation. And this comes specifically from producer Kazunori Yamauchi, who said in a recent roundtable interview that Gran Turismo 7 has been released for several years, but still the active users are currently over 2 million people. And that is a phenomenal number here for a racing game. For over 2-year mark, over 2 million people is huge. And they say the new users are increasing, and the status that Gran Turismo 7 is in now is probably the best of any Gran Turismo titles that we've had in the past. We've never experienced this phenomenon before, and neither has PlayStation. So that's a huge success. Good for Gran Turismo. If you like sim racers, it is a good game. I played it. I enjoyed what I played for it. I actually played it in VR as well with the PSVR 2. That was very cool. That was basically the only thing I really played in my PSVR 2, and I've sold that off now. It took me a while to actually sell my PSVR 2. I had it listed on Marketplace for a long time, and seemingly nobody really wanted to pick it up, but finally somebody did. But the experience that I had with PSVR 2 and Gran Turismo 7 was phenomenal. I will say that. That's a really cool thing. If you're into sim racing, I would recommend checking it out. You can get a PSVR 2 now for relatively cheap. The prices have dropped. And if you have a PS5 and Gran Turismo, go check that game out specifically. It is super cool. One of the very few amount of games that I checked out, but was probably my favorite overall. Arc 2. We haven't heard anything about this since it was revealed back in 2020. And I hate when this happens. This is one of the things that annoys me most. This is why I was annoyed with the Fate of the Old Republic announcement, where yes, Casey Huston's saying it's not going to take until 2030 or whatever, but it's still probably years and years away, as that game was announced, I think like a month after the studio to develop that game was formed. So it's still years away. I'm not a fan of games getting announced so early and then we're waiting and waiting just to see really anything on it. Arc has been one of those games, or Arc 2 has been one of those games. But they do say here that Arc 2 has been delayed again until 2028. So we aren't seeing anything on this game for a very long time. That's another 2 years before anything is going to come out with this. It was originally announced at the Game Awards ceremony back in 2020. And again, this is a Game Awards thing. This is something that they do. I think it's because these studios just want to attract people to come work on the game. So they do it at the biggest show of the year, basically. And they say the game was originally planned for a 2023 release, but in April 2023, developer Studio Wildcard announced that it had been pushed to 2024. Now, with that 2024 release window clearly gone, Studio Wildcard has announced that Arc 2 will be released in 2028, 5 years after its original release window, and 8 years after the Game Awards debut. Now, they do comment here on the reasons for the Arc 2 delay, or the first being to let Ark Survival Ascended last longer, but they say specifically one thing we learned is to not say goodbye until your players want you to. To be honest with you, we kind of just hard stopped updating Ark Survival Evolve, and we were like, okay, we're done with it. And actually, players were kind of mad about that because they weren't ready. They wanted more content at this point. With Ark Survival Ascended, we'll keep working on it, even if it's not the only thing we're doing. We'll keep working on making content for it as long as people still want to play it and pay for content, because we made that mistake with our transition from Ark Survival Evolve. So yeah, they're self-player numbers, and they're going to continue to push out Arc 2 until they probably see those numbers dwindling so much that it would make a lot more sense to do so. But I mean, it's just the announcement being so early is annoying for people who are interested in playing that game, sitting there twiddling their thumbs, wondering when they're going to hear anything else on the brand new Arc game with Arc 2. Expedition 33, we have a couple of stories here. Game of the year, my favorite game of the year. Absolutely phenomenal, everything that Sandfall Interactive did with this game. And you have to ask yourself, because of how successful this game was, they've raked in a ton of money. They can pretty much do whatever they want, go as big as however they want, really, with their next game. Will they do that, or are they going to stay down the same path? My hope is that they will continue down the same path, make a similar style of game in terms of scope. I don't think they need to go crazy. There's no point in making it bigger. People will still love whatever they put out next if it is within the same scope of Expedition 33 or the next entry into the series. And it looks like they've confirmed this, that they're going to stay within their limitations. They're not going to go too crazy with the next game. They say here that Expedition 33 devs won't scale up for their next game because they embrace limitations. They want to create. We love making games more than we love managing. And to me, that's extremely important, because they could potentially have a lot of things seep into the game that would make it worse. A lot of different interests of people who now see this as a way to make a ton of money, or potentially just try to go bigger. And sometimes it just doesn't end up working out. And they say here that the news comes from comments from director Guillaume Broche saying, why Sandfall isn't aiming to make a larger scale production moving forward. He says, no, I think it's good to have limitations when you are creative. It's the best way to be the best version of yourself. And they say, while the developer could scale up with all the funding and acclaim it now has, Brosh explains that Sandfall would rather focus on making games instead of contending with all the management that running a larger, wider team would entail, saying, we would scale up now that we have a lot more money, but I would say it's not tempting for us, because even the management team and myself, we'd have to be hands-on and doing things for ourselves. We love making games more than we love managing, so we want to keep doing that. These past 5 years were some of the best of my life, and I want to be happy like that again. So great news. Great news that they are not going to go over their means or over what they enjoy doing, which means the next game in the series should be as good, if not better, than Claire Obscure Expedition 33, which is very, very exciting. So I can't wait to see what happens, what Sandfall does end up showing off next for the next game and everything. So I'm sure it'll be phenomenal. Same great voice acting, story, all of that stuff should be within the next game. And with more news on this game, there's a lot of debate on this one. I've said previously, the AI in video games, I mean, you've heard me say this many times if you've been watching this channel, is there's going to be some good things that AI can do. If it's used ethically, I don't really see an issue with it. If it's used to just create full games and to reduce the overall art and value of video games and everything, and you start getting just these crappy projects that come out because of AI for cash grabs, then yeah, that's going to be an issue. It's going to end up replacing some jobs. But again, if it's used ethically, that's just the reality of technology and how things move. And pretty much every studio is going to dive into AI somewhat, as it does help reduce the cost of developing games. That has been an issue over the years. So there has to be something to give here, because either studios continue going the way that they are going, or they find something to help reduce those costs and potentially reduce the amount of negative things that will come from these studios, the layoffs, the game cancellations, and studio closures. But Expedition 33 apparently is another game here that did use generative AI within their game. And because of this, the Indie Game Awards pulls 2 awards from Clair Obscur over generative AI use. They say we have a hard stance against Gen AI in video games. Specifically, this is what they say. The IGA's nomination committee is officially retracting debut game and game of the year, awarding both categories to new recipients. Additionally, we are retracting one of the Indie Vanguard recipients. Then they give you the full details, specifically saying we have a hard stance against Gen AI in video games. It's something we talk about throughout the year when discussing any potential nominees. On the day of the premiere, Sandfall Interactive did in fact confirm that Gen AI was used in the making of Expedition 33, and then continues that previously the studio had agreed that no Gen AI was used in the making of the game when it was submitted to us for consideration. And notably, seemingly AI-generated textures were spotted by fans online in Clair Obscur mere days before it was released in April. So they're saying they said originally there wasn't any use, and then they said there was, and it was discovered and everything. All of this to be said, the hard stance against Gen AI in gaming, the reality is it's doesn't make any sense overall because most studios use some sort of AI, whether we know about it or not, whether that is just little things here to help them move along the production process in a more efficient manner. It's not taking over people's entire jobs. It's not generating a bunch of stuff that is massively important for the game. If it's used ethically, then I don't think there is an issue, similar to what we saw with Arc Raiders with the whole voice AI stuff where they paid the actors for their voice, and then after paying them and compensating them, they use generative AI to have those lines or have some of their voice with some different lines put into the game rather than, I guess, calling them back in the studio and having to re-record and everything, even though they paid them. So they still used AI in that sense, and there was outrage against that, which I think was absurd. It's all going to depend going forward just how much it gets implemented into video games. And I'm sure corporations, big companies, they are going to push the limits for this thing. The problem will be is if they do start pushing the limits, will the games and the products get worse? And if they do start getting worse, there will be major pushback, and then they'll probably pull back a little bit on the AI. But the reality is having a hard stance against basically every single game, if they have any sort of AI in it, I think is going to end up just being a kind of a futile argument that will make no sense because most studios, lots of studios at least, will end up using it. Indie devs, as they try to reduce their costs, they can find ways that AI helps them do that without actually hurting the people that they're working with, and they're going to use it as well. So does that get included in having awards pulled? We'll have to wait and see. We're just in an era right now, in a time where it's so early. We're going to see, as I've tweeted out, no objective reporting on AI. So we won't actually know just how bad it is, and is it being utilized terribly for games that are coming out. But I'll end the video there. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.